Hello, I'm Rico Cavella, and welcome to this episode of Fearless Aging, where in every episode, my guests and I, we strive to offer you proven tips and strategies that you can implement immediately to greatly improve your overall health and well-being. So we're here to inspire you and empower you to become your best self so you can go out and make a bigger positive impact in the world. So we have four great segments today. The first segment is how to fix your posture so you can feel better and look better. And your posture is a true measure of your age. Number two is how to raise truly wealthy kids. And it's not about how much money you leave them. And number three is about mastering your emotions for healthy aging and longevity, because it's our emotions that are creating our reality. And number four is all about Essiac tea. It's the anti-aging elixir that you don't want to skip. So let's get started into our first episode. Hello, welcome to this segment of Fearless Aging. And the title of this segment is Fix Your Posture and so you can feel better and look better. And I don't know anyone who doesn't want to feel better and look better, and I'm really excited about this. It's going to be some really great information because I'm a big believer in how important posture is. So our expert guest today, his name is Dr. Hill. He's from YourPostureProgram.com. He's a chiropractor, entrepreneur, and speaker who's changing the way we think about posture, movement, and brain health. He founded Experience Life Chiropractic and developed Your Posture Program, an online solution that helps people transform their posture and health from anywhere in the world. So Dr. Hill empowers individuals to look better and feel better by fixing their posture through practical, simple, and effective strategies that fit into your everyday life. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So Dr. Brett, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Well, let's just start. Just start by saying, talk about why posture is so important.
Posture's the foundation of our health. When we're born, that's one of the first things that a child learns to develop. They get the physical curve in their neck, tummy time, and we grow, we end up standing, and that foundational support starts to fuel our brain in a healthy way. And as we age, a lot of times we lose that foundational support by hunching, slouching, just from sitting and looking at screens, especially now.
Yeah.
And it affects us foundationally at the root of a lot of problems physically. A lot of the headaches and stress that we put on our body affects our posture and leads to further injuries and other problems.
So you mentioned how it's important for brain health. So how does bad posture affect our brain health?
Well, one of the biggest impacts to our brain health is proper loading of our spine against gravity and movement. Some of the biggest impacts to our frontal lobe, which is our important decision-making and higher center learning areas of brain, is really impacted by this constant pull of gravity on our spine. So when we lose our postural tone, we lose that activation and fuel to our brain to sense where our body is in space, which should be constantly going. So the more we sit, the more we lose our postural tone and our muscles and joints aren't supported in a proper alignment, the less those joints activate, and we lose a huge impact to our overall brain health and awareness of where we should be. We think of someone depressed, it shows in their posture, and the way that their brain isn't lighting up the same way is also affected because we're not moving and we're holding our posture differently. So there's a direct correlation there between our brain health and our postural tone.
I think it probably goes both ways. You could say that if you're depressed, you're probably going to have bad posture. But if you have bad posture, that's probably going to that's going to contribute to being depressed, right?
Exactly. Most people focus on, I need to focus on, the stress that I'm feeling so that my shoulders aren't tight or why I feel depressed. But if we focus on the physical aspect, it actually changes that mental aspect as well. and we have
yeah,
less stress or less depression.
I definitely can see that. And also, I think, probably having that bad posture as we age, that's probably going to contribute to having, how people age have poor balance. So if you have poor posture, you probably have poor balance as well.
Yeah, well, in my program, that yourpostureprogram.com, that's one of the first things we work on is our head position, our core activation, and balance. Balance is
Mhm.
really, really important because where the body follows the head. So if our head and we lose that postural tone of our head,
Yeah.
our whole center of gravity is going to be thrown off. And it really does impact the receptors in our neck, the vestibular canals in our ears, and our visual system of where we sense our body. And so that balance is thrown off in multiple ways related to our postural tone, our postural balance.
So what are some of the reasons that we see so many people with that forward head posture and creating bad posture? What are the main causes of that, do you think?
Well, a lot of it is a use it or lose it principle. Our brain is very neuroplastic or adaptable to learn whatever we teach it. If you
Hmm.
think of how many hours a day do we sit, especially since the introduction of
Yeah,
computers, and even when we're walking nowadays on our phones and we're walking with our head down,
I
looking down,
know.
it's
I see that
not
all
the
the
way
time.
we
It's just, I know.
yeah, not the way we're designed to be day in day out and to move, and so our body adapts to that. The more we work at a computer, the more we are entertained by a computer, the more we're looking at devices, the more stress we have in our day to day world. The more our posture will suffer, our body will adapt to whatever we're teaching it. And so, especially even as we age, we respond slower to things, and we adapt. We've already built in these adaptations or these changes that have been more and more ingrained. So we need to make sure we address that before it takes more and more work to fix. So the sooner we address the posture, the faster we're going to see changes adapting in our body physically and mentally as we improve that posture.
So are you able to help people with who have that really forward head posture? Can that be corrected?
For sure. And that's something where nobody sees someone that is getting in their elderly years with their head forward and their back hunched and
Hmm.
thinks that's wanna be. That's a good sign of health right there. We immediately know that's not healthy.
Hmm.
But that takes years to develop. That's not something that happens right away. And
Hmm.
again, it's just adapted to what we teach our body. So when we do little things, we designed our program to make it simple, just little things daily that if we do them, our brain and our body start to adapt in slow ways that makes a big change over a period of time. And it can be corrected, can be reversed to an extent. If they have too much degeneration and calcifications in there, we can't get it perfect, but we always do see improvements and changes.
Yeah. But it also would be really helpful to actually see a chiropractor like yourself physically because you can help to readjust their alignment and their postural alignment, right?
Exactly. And that's one of the things most people come to us because they have their headaches. They've got their tension in their neck or their lower back problems or their ankle issues or vertigo problems. And then when we do our assessment, we look at their posture, we look at their function, we look at their balance, a lot of it comes down to the root of the problem being poor postural activation and tone and awareness. So as we really focus on these things, those other symptoms go away, and that is something where seeing a professional like myself, and we do online virtual consults with people, and or seeing someone in person really can be a benefit.
Okay. Well, let's talk about what's all actually involved in your posture program. That's an online program that people can access. And even right now, I'll let people know that, we'll put that information in the show description. And there's a link there also where you can get some free video trainings that'll be really helpful for you. But you mentioned that you could demonstrate a couple of things that people could do right now. Can you do that for us?
You bet. A few things that we want people to be able to take away from today's interview and implement right away are things that we're going to give you on those videos. So if they go to the link and they click on that to get the free videos that we're going to share with them, that's the good starting point. These are the first things we take people through in our program to help them get aware of how to move their head, activate their core properly, and work on their balance. And that's the first thing we work on. And the reason we work on this head exercise is because the body follows the head. So as the head goes forward, it changes our whole balance, the whole perception of tension here and where our body should be. So the first thing, and in the video, you'll see it with someone laying face down. So I'll try to demonstrate standing where people can, whether they're sitting, driving in a car, or standing, try to think of the same movement patterns in everyday life. So you want to think of the head pulling long. Now, a lot of times when people have lost their postural tone and their head's forward, they will look up. So they're going to tilt their nose up and their chin up to be taller, and they're lifting and compensating in that way. And so what we want to correct here is we actually want to lengthen the muscles right at the base of our skull by pulling the back of our head tall and then tucking our ears over the shoulders a little more. Most people are used to seeing or have done an exercise where they are told just to tuck the chin back to get the shoulders back. I don't like it. It's not comfortable. What you should be doing is thinking of pulling long as you bring the chin over the ears over the shoulder by tucking the chin a little bit. The head doesn't go straight forward and back. It doesn't go straight up and down. It usually compensates in those patterns. So think of being tall as you bring the ears back over the shoulders. The second thing, most people compensate by leaning in their lower back. So in these videos, we show them how to engage their core in a very simple way by more of the pelvic floor and this muscle from the belly button. If you just think of your belly button pulling to your spine a little bit without crunching down. So these exercises should all lift you taller, not bring you shorter. So in a seated position, think of pulling your head long, tucking your chin slightly so that your ear, eye, and nose are still level. And then feel your belly button to your spine just a little bit without crunching down or tucking your butt underneath. As you do that, it'll keep your back a little bit more firm and a little bit stronger. And then the third thing we recommend people start implementing is balancing. And so I recommend you find a wall or a door frame and just stand with your foot just an inch or so off the wall, your hips, your shoulders, and your head on that wall. And as you try to touch the wall back, most people that have lost their postural tone will find they have to tilt their head. They'll find it difficult getting your head back on the wall. And that gives you an idea of how far off it might be. But as you stand on that wall, lift the other leg, balance, and then just bring your body just that inch off and stand for 10 seconds. After 10 seconds, go back to the wall and check, does your hips, shoulder, and head all hit the wall at the same time? If not, your body's compensating in all those ways that it shouldn't be. And that's where we start with people and we guide them through and work through a series of further exercises in our program to get them at the final stage where that becomes easy, that becomes normal and automatic for them in controlling their body.
Thank you so much for Brett. Yeah, we're just about out of time. Thank you so much for that. That's such good advice, and I highly recommend you go and check out these videos and check out your posture program. It's so important. It's going to transform your life. So thank you, Dr. Brett, for being here. Thanks for the great work you're doing. And to our audience, I always like to end my shows by saying, we offer you always really good knowledge and wisdom, but knowledge without action is useless, right? You got to take action. So be sure and get a hold of Dr. Brett. It's going to be really some valuable information. So thank you, Dr. Brett, and thank everybody for being here.
Thank you for having me, Rico. Have a great day.
Hello, welcome to this segment of Fearless Aging. And the title of this episode is a real unique one. It's called Put Your Wallets Away and Raise Rich Kids. And so we're going to talk about our expert guests and authors, 10 everyday ways that you can nurture your child so they can live a rich life, which is a big part of being well in every aspect of your life. So our expert guest today, her name is Rosemary Olinder. She's an educator, a consultant, a speaker, a non-fictional author who blends professional expertise with heartfelt guidance on child development. With decades of experience supporting families and schools, she offers practical, compassionate insights to help navigate the everyday challenges of parenting and education. So, Rosemary Olender, thanks so much for being here.
Oh, it's wonderful. I'm looking forward to talking with you.
Yeah, thanks for your good work. This is something that's so needed so badly. So I really love what you're doing. So first of all, let's just start with how you came up with this idea that this is something that's really needed.
Okay, well, I've got decades of experience as a school teacher, administrator, and consultant working with schools and children. But this came about as a result of a deathbed conversation I had with my father. The night before he passed away, he apologized to me for, quote unquote, leaving me with nothing. And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "Well, we have no money in the bank. We don't own our house. My car is not new." And that was a tipping point for me. And that caused me to discuss with him the wonderful gifts that he gave me my entire life that made me emotionally well and rich and resilient and kind and successful. He did not know that. And I'm grateful that he said that to me so that I could impart on him what kind of value he gave to the world. And as an administrator and as a teacher over the years, I've seen so many families struggle with feeling that they weren't doing enough, that they didn't have enough money to give their kids what their kids needed and wanted. Mm-hmm. And so out of that came this concept that we need a mindset change, that it's not about money, it's about non-material wealth. And the kinds of things that my father gave me that parents can give to their children without using their wallets at all, that are so incredibly important for kids to be resilient, kind, and successful as they move forward. So in the book that I wrote called Coffee and Wisdom, A Father's Legacy to Leading a Rich Life, there are 12 chapters, 12 gifts that my father gave us that are so critical for parents to bestow upon their kids. There are things like, obviously we know love and appreciation is there, that everybody understands that. But my father was a keen observer of life and of people. He was an amazing listener and conversationalist because he listened so well. Mm-hmm. So the gifts that he gave us are things like the gift of time. My father never pushed us away. He would, if he was busy, say, "Give me 5 minutes and come back." And he would be ready. Or he would drop what he was doing if he could immediately, which fed to our importance. The gift of patience, the gift of perspective and empathy, the gift of humor. The gift of humor is so critical in our wellness so that we can take a situation that's stressful and look at it maybe a little differently, maybe laugh about it, laugh about our own failings in a situation, figure out what we can do better, those kinds of things.
And if I may, I just want to add on that point. Sure. There is a really good point to make, is that everything that happens to us, whether we perceive it as good or bad, is actually a lesson. Everything's a lesson. And if we just look at it in that perspective, there's something to learn. And actually, don't you find also, Rosemary, that quite often things at first that make us unhappy, or we think, why does this happen to me? It turns out to be a great lesson that moves us forward in our life.
Absolutely. And that was my father's leading edge in our conversations. If I came home upset and I said the teacher yelled at me, he would say, "Well, let's talk about that. What did he say? What led to that? What, and then he always ended with, what did you learn from it?
Yeah.
What did you learn from this? As long as you learn something and you analyze it and you take it apart and you say, okay, you won't make that mistake again, or you might do something differently again. Or if you choose to do it the same way, you kind of know what the result is going to be. And if you can live with it, okay. Yeah. So that was critical for him. And he attacked life with humor, even terrible situations. I have reflections, a lot of reflections in the book that talk about how he modeled grace in everyday life, how he used tiny little moments to teach us some wisdom about what we were seeing and how to analyze it.
Yeah,
and if parents do that, it's so critical for their kids going forward.
Okay, well, let's go ahead with some more of the points, some more of the everyday things that you can do.
Okay. Ground your children in family stories and family culture and family traditions. Foods, your cultural foods, why are they important to you? Kids need to know they belong to something bigger than themselves and that they're an important part of it. Mm-hmm. So sharing that and having even the rules you have in your house ground kids and give them some security, because if they're consistent, my mother and father were always on the same page and made sure that we understood what the rules were and why they were important. Is another thing is to understand that parenting is not perfect. You're going to make mistakes. Your kids are going to watch you and they're going to learn from you, but also you can learn from your kids. Mm-hmm. So pay close attention to your kids every day from when they're very little. If you don't pay attention to the little things that they talk about, when they come running with something they've drawn and they're like, mommy, 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 look at this. If you turn them away from the little things, when they get older and things are bigger and more important, they won't come to you. Mm-hmm. So make sure you're a good observer, you're an active listener, and you really understand where your kids are coming from. So pay attention to what they're doing all the time. We had comfort rituals. We would go for a ride and get an ice cream cone, especially if something was upsetting to us. We would say, "Oh, let's go for a ride and get some ice cream," and we would do that. So comfort rituals are really, really kind of important to have in the family. The other things is if you can say the hard things with a little bit of softness and not really go at the kids and talk about it, but sit down at their level, whatever level that is. If they're toddlers, sit on the floor. If they're teenagers, sit across from them. Make sure the devices are out of the way. Put your device down. I cannot tell you how many parents I see with their kids in restaurants on their phone, not paying attention to their kids at all. So be the model. Put your phone down. Ask your kids to put their phone down and have those conversations. Create special times every day to connect with your kids. There are a lot of families that say, we don't have the time. We're so busy. I'm working 2 jobs, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't take a lot of time. 3 minutes, a walk from the kitchen door to the school bus is time enough to instill something in your kids and to say, I want you to have a good day today in school. Do me a favor. When good things happen, I want you to come home and tell me 2 or 3 things that excited you. And if something upsets you, I want you to come home and tell me. So you're with them the whole day. And so you want to create those times.
Yeah, that's so good. Before we go on, Rosemary, we only have a couple of minutes left to go. So I'm going to let our audience know that, first of all, you have a great tip sheet for parents. It's called Raising Children with Heart, Legacy, and Love. And we'll put a link in the show description where you can get that free tip sheet. And then also on your website, people can learn the 10 everyday ways to nurture a rich life in your child. So we'll definitely let you know how you can access Rosemary and all the information that she has to offer you. And so, we've just got a couple of minutes left. So how about give us, what would you say the top 3 things that a parent should start doing right now to really help to ensure that they're raising kids to have a rich life?
Make sure that you're connecting with your kids. And so that means you need to, as I said before, you need to pay close attention to what they're saying, doing, and even thinking if you can get it out of them. You need to create the moments, the ordinary moments that can be extraordinary. Don't celebrate grades, celebrate effort, celebrate progress towards grades.
That's
so
good.
You've got to keep encouraging them to go forward. They don't need, if you're expecting perfection, you're going to not help them become secure because nobody's perfect.
So what's number 2?
Well, it's kind of 1 and 2, but number 2 would be, you as a parent need to model the values you want to see in your kids.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't do that, they're watching you all the time and they're listening all the time through doors. So make sure you're modeling. If you're bullying a friend or you're bullying your spouse, your kid's going to be a bully. They're going to say, well, it's okay to do that. So that's it. And another thing is, let your child teach you. Find situations for your kids to teach you something. If they come home and they're excited about something they learned in school, be patient. Patience is a key. And listen to what they're saying about that. Say, oh, I don't know about that. Teach me.
Yeah, that's so good, Rosemary. Well, we're really out of time, but I really love what you're doing. You're offering a great service, so I really encourage our audience to go and check you out, and particularly get your free tip sheet and then learn more about how you can help them out. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate what you're offering, and thanks to our audience for being here as well. So I was in our shows with the saying that knowledge without action is useless. So we always give you some great information and wisdom, but you got to take action on it. So go out and take action on it and check out what Rosemary has to offer you. Thanks everybody for being here.
Thank you.
All right, that's our first 2 shows. Hope you enjoyed them. So we got 2 more great shows coming up, but I have a quick 1-minute message for you, and then we'll come back with episode number 3.
Wake up. You wake up feeling exhausted, stiff, and sore? Do you feel like no matter how hard you try, those extra pounds won't budge, and the energy and vitality you once had are slipping further away? If this sounds like you, don't give up. Feeling tired and immobile isn't your destiny. It's not too late to take back your energy, your youthful shape, and feel great in your body again. Meet Rico Caveglia, America's healthy aging trainer, creator of the Aging Living Lifestyle and the Vitality for Life Wellness Program. At age 83, Rico has the moves and vitality of someone half his age and has a fitness age of just 35. For over 40 years, Rico has helped hundreds of people just like you regain their energy and vitality. That's agelessliving.com/coaching to learn more and book your free call with Rico to see if you or your parents are a good fit for this transformational program.
All right, here's how to master emotions. Hello, welcome to this segment of Fearless Aging. And we have a great title today. The title is How to Master Your Emotions for Healthy Aging and Longevity. And our expert guest is Catherine Eipel. She is the creator of the Neural Resonance Method and Vibrational Wellness Sound Therapy. She is an emotional strategy coach, Reiki master, sound therapist, yoga and meditation guide, and multidimensional human being. She fuses psychology with ancient yogic practices and meditation to help people learn to regulate their nervous systems. So whether you need guidance on your emotional health or want to support your balancing your energy and regulating your nervous system, Catherine is poised to help. So Catherine, so nice to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk about this topic because it's something that we don't really talk about a lot.
Absolutely. So I want to start with and get your thoughts and have you expand on this a little bit. because what I've always been teaching is, how important our emotions are. And so the way that it kind of works is, first we have beliefs, right? And our beliefs, then we have thoughts about those beliefs, and these thoughts create emotions, and then emotions are what create our feelings of how we feel about what's going on, and our feelings create the actions that we actually take, which equals the results that we're getting in our life, right? So it's really all about the emotions. It's what's creating the results that we're getting in our life. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'd love to. So as you were saying, every emotion is energy, it's a thought, and energy is chemistry. So our emotional energy is chemistry. That means that every single thought, every feeling that we have triggers a biochemical response within our body, whether that's cortisol, dopamine, oxytocin. And so when we're living more in chronic stress, resentment, or fear, that's keeping the body in the defense mode, which accelerates healing or accelerates aging. And so when we start to cultivate a sense of joy and connection, that allows the body to start creating a sense of safety. So then that's when we shift into repair and regeneration. So really your emotions aren't just feelings, but they're the chemistry of your youth and also your decay as well.
Yeah, so I mean, we are feeling beings, no question, and so we act on our feelings, and so it's so important to really get a handle on our emotions. But I guess why we have such a problem with that, because we're not taught how to explore or utilize or understand our emotions as young people. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that I was not taught how to regulate my emotions or really I wasn't given the space to really feel them as a kid and as a teenager. And I think when a lot of us think of wellness, we automatically go to the physical side of it. So eating right, exercising, meditating. And so it's all the things that we can do, but we don't really look at how stress and emotions and negative thoughts can actually impact our age and what that does to our cells.
Yeah, well, our emotions actually impact how we go about our, doing, if we are doing or not doing exercise, or how we're eating, or how we're relating to other people. Our emotions are in totally control of that. Yeah, so this is such an important topic. So tell us. So obviously, I mean, you've studied all these different therapies. So how did you decide to come up with your neuroresonance method?
Well, I've come up with that as a process of working on my own emotional well-being over the years. So I initially started with a yoga practice, and from there I devoted myself more into the yoga philosophies, and that's when I got exposed to Reiki and sound therapy. And I noticed that by doing those on myself or having someone else facilitate a Reiki session for me or sound therapy, that I felt much better. I felt more relaxed. I felt more centered. No matter how I felt walking in, I could have been really stressed coming from work. I could have had an argument with one of my partners or a friend. And after taking time to be with the sound or to work through the energy with Reiki, I felt a lot better. And then I was able to approach those situations from a healthier standpoint. Whereas instead of just letting those emotions kind of lead the way and not think about it, I was able to put myself in a space where I felt safe enough to play the tape of, okay, well, if I respond this way, how is that going to go? If I take a step back and respond from a calm, loving place, how is that going to go? So after working on it with myself, that's when I wanted to go deeper into cognitive behavioral therapy, as I have a psychology background in cognitive behavioral therapy. So I redirected my focus because I used to work in entertainment. So I started doing health and wellness full time. And as part of that, I got a cognitive behavioral therapy life coaching certificate. And so once I had that, it was really playing around with how that modality works with all of the other 3 modalities that I was working with already. And so with my clients, I would start integrating cognitive behavioral therapy techniques as they would talk about what brought them to Reiki or what their intentions were for sound healing. And I would notice that at the end, when we would have our decompression conversations and check-ins after the session, they had so many realizations on the little things that they're doing in their thought patterns and how just the tiniest shift would impact them in a positive way.
Yeah.
So that's how I built it.
Yeah, I just want to add to that again. So if people are still not a little bit wondering how all this works, is that because we know from quantum physics, everything in the universe is energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sound, even our emotions and thoughts are energy, and the words we say are energy. And so all energy fields affect other energy fields. And that's why we've been learning more and more. So that's why all these different methods that you've developed and people have developed are so important. That's how they work. And that's why they're so important to understand this. So I know you have a great offer also, for our audience, and we'll put that link where people can pick up, but you're offering one of your neural resonance method sessions free for people. So talk a little bit about that.
Yes. So this is the introductory session. So what we'll do in the neuroresonance one-off session is we'll talk about where you are right now, what your normal thought patterns are in your day, and how you want to shift them. Also, if there are behavioral patterns that you're doing or any new habits that you even want to build and incorporate. So we'll create that as your goals, and from there we'll work backwards and create a strategy for you to get from where you are to where you want to go.
Yeah, I mean, this is so important. I mean, to really understand that. We'll talk a little bit about how we're so distracted. We're just we're in this rush society. We're so distracted, and we need to slow down. I know on your website you have some really good. I wanted to pull that up. You have some really good sayings about slowing down, and then you have one about letting go of the relationships. Talk a little bit about those real briefly.
Yes, of course. Thank you for asking. So a lot of times, I mean, we live in a society that is built on instantaneous results. So that instills in us that everything that we do, all of the changes that we make have to happen instantly. And that's not actually true. When you look at nature, it takes a really long time for a tree to grow really tall. So it's going to take some time for us to sit with our emotions, because if we aren't taught, and most of us weren't taught to sit with emotions, it can be really uncomfortable. And that doesn't mean that it's uncomfortable, you need to avoid it. It means let's sit in the uncomfortableness that is that emotion until it starts to feel a little bit more comfortable. And from there, we can start to learn what that emotion is telling us. Why is it there? And so that is what it means to slow down. Just give yourself that pause. Sometimes when we get really anxious, we feel our blood pressure increase, we get really hot, and we get really sweaty. So I like to take a hand and just put it over my heart and take a few deep breaths to remind myself to slow down. And then I'll start asking questions. What am I feeling? Where am I feeling it in my body? Like, what is this showing me? Is there a texture to it, because some people are more tactile, some people are more visual. So textures and colors can also appear when we think about emotions. And then in terms of letting people go, I work a lot with people who are shifting from out of breakups, out of divorce, and people who are also just rebuilding their social network because they realized that the people that they were hanging around with served them to a point, and then they kind of outgrew that group. And so there's nothing wrong with realizing that you do need to change your social structure every now and then. Relationships we enter, we may think we're in them forever, and then sometimes those two people grow apart, and then it becomes a question of how are we going to adapt? How are we going to shift this relationship?
Yeah.
Or is it better for us to part ways? And just because you part doesn't mean that you have to do it with anger or animosity. You can do it from a very loving standpoint.
Yeah, very good. Well, we're just about out of time, Catherine. I know it shows goes by so fast, but I think the main point here is that you can get control over your emotions, and emotions are controlling your life. So you need to understand what your emotions are telling you and get control over your life. And Catherine's an expert that can really help you. So I highly recommend that you connect with her and take advantage of her free session. I know I'm going to. I just found out about it, so I'm going to take a free session. So this is such an important service that she has to offer. So Catherine, thanks so much for being here, and thank you for what you're doing. It's a great service.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be a guest on your show. And yes, so for anyone who's interested, you can click the link. I know it's going to be in the show notes, and at checkout, just type in welcome, all caps, and you'll be on your way to a free neuroresonance strategy session. And who knows, maybe you'll even come out of it looking younger.
Yeah, I think so. Feeling younger for sure. All right. Thank
Definitely
you, Catherine.
feeling younger.
And thank everybody for being here.
Thank you so much.
Right. Last one. Hello, welcome to this segment of Fearless Aging. And the title of this episode is Essiac Tea, the anti-aging elixir you don't want to skip. I like that, anti-aging elixir. And our expert guest, his name is Brian Paulus. He's the co-owner of Genuine Essiac, a company based in Massachusetts that specializes in providing authentic Essiac tea. He has been involved with Essiac tea since 1986, and along with his wife Gina, they have taken their business online in 2005. So their mission is to offer organic Essiac tea at affordable prices and continuing the work of Renee Cassie and Dr. Charles Brush. So Brian Paulus, thanks so much for being here.
Hi, great to be here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, I think this is a great topic, and I know I've known about this tea for a really long time, and I've heard of so many great benefits. So I'm really interested in learning more about it, and our audience, I'm sure our audience is learning all about it too. So just real briefly, tell us how you first got involved.
Just total happenstance. We had a family member who had passed away. Another family member found out about this after that person had passed away through an acquaintance. And when we found out about this, we told other acquaintances of ours that this existed and where to get it. And they ended up getting this herbal mixture, and they had cancer, primarily used for cancer, but it's got so many more benefits than cancer. But these people each went into remission. That started a massive demand in the area. The demand eventually became a cancer support group, which eventually became a local TV show in New Hampshire. And the demand became so great that I was solicited to work with President Kennedy's personal physician, who did research on this for 8 years in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I was solicited to really fulfill that dramatic increase in need because I was young and strong enough to do the big bulk herbs that had to be moved around. So I thought I'd have a good job for the summer, and that was 40 years ago, and we're still doing it.
Wow, that's so good. That's a great story. So I'm real curious, the original developers of this formula, I mean, how did they discover all this combination of herbs would have so many health benefits?
There was a nurse that was doing her rounds in Canada who ran across a patient who had a lesion on her breast, asked what it was. And it turns out that was the aftermath of having had a breast cancer tumor that had been treated with medicinal herbs by an Ojibwe Indian medicine man. So she just basically found that to be fascinating, wrote down what was originally a 4-herb formula, put it in the drawer, and didn't think much about it until 2 years later. Her aunt developed cancer. She tried this herbal combination, and that worked successfully, which started a clinic in Canada ran for several decades. And then it was brought up for a vote. It was so popular. And the Canadian government brought it up for a vote as a means of treatment. It failed by 3 votes, at which point this nurse had nowhere to go with this in Canada, was invited down right near us to Cambridge, Massachusetts, to President Kennedy's physicians, local research center. And so they worked together with this nurse to really establish what the 4-herb formula did. And then a team of 18 physicians continued this research to find out other potential herbs that could help or be of assistance. When one showed help, they would add it to the formula, and then add another one, cater and tweak till they found the perfect balance after 8 years. That's what we have here is the byproduct of the 8 years of research. It is by far, as far as Essiac tea goes, the most advanced version. And it's the reason we offer a money-back guarantee after usage for 6 months, because we don't want to be like predators that give you something that doesn't work. This actually does what we say it does, and we are accountable to that. In spite of the significant needs we're addressing, we are still accountable to that. And we've done that for over 20 years.
Wow. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Well, tell us, have you had tell us about your personal experience with taking the tea.
Well, I really haven't had a significant need other than when you're younger and you feel like you're bulletproof. I'm now 60. But when I was younger, I felt no need to address it because I was hanging on the beach. I was healthy, whatever. I tried, I dabbled, but then my PSA started to creep up. And I saw my urologist, and I said, it's going to sound crazy, but I've got this stuff that can really help. And my blood work was out of whack. I had blood work that they had me seeing a specialist for that as well. Again, I asked for 6 months, and I took this, and my PSA went down to 1, from a range in which they thought I had cancer. And same with the blood work, that I potentially may have a blood cancer. And that went all down to normal levels. And so then I got smart. I realized I'm not bulletproof. I need to do something to address aging and all the issues associated with that. And I've been doing it ever since, and I haven't had an issue.
Well, I would say it's been working, because you certainly don't look 60. You look more like late 40s or maybe 50. Yeah. So I think it's working for you. Yeah, it sounds really good.
There's a reason for that. It actually does do just that. It helps with DNA damage. We're actually our most recent round of research is one in which we presented in Santiago, Chile, DNA repair studies done on humans, in which everyone in this study had between 33 to 50% reduction in their DNA damage. So it actually repairs DNA. I mean, I sound crazy talking about this, but it's actually taken people's bald spots, had it grow back. It grows back its original color, no longer gray. And I know it sounds crazy, but these are the stories that we've had with this. And so when we had this DNA research that we went into recently, we had a pretty good idea that we're going to see something good. We just got the specific levels of DNA repair with this. So it's unlike anything else as far as reparations to the body over years.
Yeah, well, okay. First of all, I've got a little bald spot back here, so I'm definitely going to try it out for sure. But I know there's been documented many different benefits. It improves your immune system.
Right.
It's detoxing. Yeah, talk about all these different things. It's helped people with diabetes, high blood pressure, inflammation, all these things.
Here's the thing. What this does is so uniquely different. A lot of things are claiming to be detoxes, but what they do is they take the bulk amount of loose available waste in the intestinal tract, and they get rid of it. So it's self-evident. Use the bathroom more often. You think you've completed the process, but this is not going to have benefit until it gets completed. Basically your intestinal wall needs to be 100% cleaned off, not 90%, because whether it's a millimeter or 3/4 of an inch of waste on your intestinal wall, it's still compromising digestive function, nutrition, and everything else. And of course, toxins in your body really age you. So what this does is it's a sustainable, it's not the easiest thing because you do it 3 times a day, but it's a moderate 3 times a day exchange in order to do it. It's like death by 1,000 cuts. Well, this is cleaning by 1,000 washes. And what this does is over the course of about 4.5 to 6 months, gets a pristine intestinal tract where it cleans it all the way off, because the last layer of your intestinal tract is very resistant. It's almost like the last layer of a pan when you burn eggs. You can get the scrambled eggs out, but the last layer, you got to soak it, get the scale wool. That's where the cleaning represents a small amount, but a large time frame. So you do this, it gets it to completion. So now what you're finding is all of the things that were flowing into the bloodstream via the intestinal walls are completely non-existent. So the lack of inflow of toxins into your bloodstream combined with your production of new blood means a clean bloodstream. In a clean bloodstream, your body's designed to preserve life in a clean bloodstream, but we're so overly toxic that we aren't even aware of the possibility to heal from illness or to function better with the organs. So say you clean out the bloodstream and your pancreas is not functioning because it's basically cluttered with debris. As you clean your blood, your function, your liver, both of which have a significant amount of effect on your overall blood sugar levels. They both work in tandem. You clean them, you start to see blood sugar go down. You start to see energy levels because of efficient absorption of nutrients go up. So these are the struggles as you get older, developing diabetes, sluggishness. These can get reverse DNA damage, all of which, if you clean out the intestinal walls, start to say, hey, oh my God, I have energy to face the challenges of my life versus spiraling to the couch. And it's just a byproduct of cleansing and letting the body do what it's designed to do.
Wow, that's well said, Brian. So what I'm hearing, it's really detoxing at the cellular level. Is that right?
Yeah, the intestinal level allows for all of the cellular interactions to take place uncompromised. You'll find, for example, there are, if you have a tumor, tumors have protective layers which are basically assisted in the byproduct of the toxins that land on a tumor. It creates a microenvironment, which is the very environment that the defense cells of the tumors live in. So if you can clean up the blood, the outside toxic layer, which encases like an eggshell, it dissipates over time. And as it dissipates, the defense cells of the tumor die off, so you address cancer more effectively. So it is about letting your body as God designed it to work. People know that their bodies are capable of creating life. We all admit that miracle. We can create life with our bodies. The preservation of life is just miraculous when given the proper opportunity. And this just basically clears the path for clean bloodstream. That's where your immune response lives, in a clean digestive tract, which is where nourishment is taken in. Those two things functioning can do remarkable things to increase energy and take the damage being done and reverse it. And so we were so pleasantly surprised by the latest, it was in 2022, I believe, in October of 2022, we did the last round of research. Now we're looking to hopefully do cancer research, but we had to get through a progression of mice studies to human studies to now. But we keep investing in these studies because we've seen firsthand the likelihood of success is extraordinary. So it's not wasted money. It's confirmation and education for the world for the decades going forward. I didn't initially see that as what my role would be until a doctor, actually a research scientist got in touch with me in 2018 and said, your role is to pass this on with validation. So what I had no interest in, he kind of spearheaded the research from there.
Wow, that's so good. Well, we're really out of time, Brian, but I want to thank you for that great information and thank you for the work that you're doing. And so also let our audience know that we have a discount code for your first order. We have a good discount for you, so we'll put that code in the show description. So I highly recommend you check out his website and check out all the different benefits.
The website, by the way, is Genuine, which is obviously spelled GENUINE, Essiac, which is ESSIAC.com. GenuineEssiac.com.
Yeah, we'll put that in the show description.
Okay.
So thank you very much for being here, Brian, and thanks to all of our audience. So as always, we want to tell you that knowledge without action is useless. So take action on what you learned today and check out the Essiac Tea.